Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to episode 32 of the Casual Weebs podcast. Listen, we just had probably the greatest week of anime. Absolutely insane. Now, it's so easy to sit here and be like, oh, new anime, like a new season, of course it's the best, and this is so good, and things like that, and you kind of forget what we've had earlier this year. This has been a phenomenal year for anime, but I honestly gotta say, not only has this been like one hell of a week, but I think that 90% of the anime awards will be in this season. This season is a different caliber, it's a different breed, it's absolutely insane. Not only are we having a bunch of animes come back with new seasons, but those seasons are like big seasons, like seasons where you're like, oh shit, this is going to be really, really good. This is going to be something that you look back on the anime and remember that season. That season stands out. Like Classroom of the Elite, we had it in the beginning of the year. That was a good season. We talked a lot about it. It was awesome. It wasn't Aeon Koji against 1v150, right? That is a staple point that stood out. Those are the kind of seasons we're going to be having with ReZero, with Blue Lock. It's going to be amazing. And by the way, who the hell told ReZero to drop a movie for the first episode? What the fuck? I'm for it. I was surprised, but I was like, oh my god, absolutely insane. By the end of it, too, you're like, oh my god, we're back. We're just back. Just so good. And then Blue Lock. Oh my god, boys. U20 versus Blue Lock is going to be absolutely insane. The action in this anime is going to be incredible this season. Like it was in season 1, but I feel like it's going to go to a whole new level because we're going to be meeting some absolute mutants. Some monsters on the field. It's going to be insane. The new animes that premiered, that dropped this week, who told them they can be that good off the bat? We talked about Blue Lock. Let's talk about Blue Box, which is a Netflix exclusive. You guys got to go see it. Whether you got to pirate it, do whatever you got to do, you got to watch it. This is going to change romance anime. It's absolutely insane. Is it really? I don't know, but I think it's going to be really good. And if it doesn't win Romance Anime of the Year, you guys are absolutely crazy. We're going to go into more depth than that in all of these animes later in this episode, but that was stunning. What an incredible first episode. Absolutely incredible. But then you have other animes like Miss Servant, which had a way better first episode than I anticipated. Like I thought it was going to be kind of like mid, mediocre, kind of like alright, you know, maybe have an episode or two, kind of like okay, but then just kind of drop off because we have too much good anime here. But it actually had a solid first episode. I'm like, wow, I'm actually going to be watching this season. I feel like it's going to keep up. Then you have DanDaDan. DanDaDan, boys, we're going to talk so much. Right, listen, come here. You gotta watch DanDaDan, and we're gonna be talking about it because there's a lot of great things to talk about, and there's some questionable things to talk about, right? We're gonna have to have we're gonna have to have a little conversation here, all right? But the thing is that I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm like, dude, there's still anime that hasn't dropped yet this season. We still have Shangri-La Frontier that's coming out. We still have that one Tokyo one where it's like back then, I forget the name of it, the I forget. I butchered that in the one video we made. But there's seriously so many more animes coming out. We're gonna have to ration anime this season. There's too many animes to watch and not enough time in the week. So, I don't know how we're gonna do it. For some of these animes, I'm waiting for the English dub. Animes that I did not mention. But yeah, it's gonna be absolutely insane. I don't know how we're gonna watch all of this anime, but we're going to. We're gonna find ways where you're gonna stop sleeping, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be great because this anime is absolutely, absolutely incredible. So, what do you want to start with?
You're exactly right. Going to be some late nights this season, but definitely a good problem to have. But
yeah,
I thought Miss Servant was cool. I was not really didn't have any crazy expectations for it, but I think I went into it expecting something a good bit different than what we got. So I was very pleasantly surprised. Animation was super fluid. It looked really cool. But I thought it would hit more on the assassin stuff and kind of her maybe being a little more badass, but it was kind of the opposite. It was, kind of shy, kind of timid, but at the same time, she has that scene where she comes out with the knives, and it was oh damn, she's an assassin for sure.
Bro, it's week 1 of the fall anime season, and she beat Truck-kun, and you're saying that she's not badass enough?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Truck-kun's been defeated, bro. That was insane. I was I can't believe she has the magical powers. She just denied her boy from getting isekai'd. Like she's built different. She's strong. But I completely get what you mean because like she is that more like shy kind of timid. Like she kind of like is like again like we talked about in the one video like Yor in a way. It kind of seems like if Yor got like a spinoff, except like yours gets a bit more outgoing. But like yeah, it was like so good to watch, and it's so like it feels like it's gonna be so like interesting. But like I said, I was going into it being like okay, like it's like a cool idea, but it's probably gonna be like kind of like more like mediocre, kind of like all right, maybe have like a decent first episode, decent second episode, but then kind of just get boring and kind of fall off. But it actually seems like it's gonna be really really good. But she seems like such an awesome character, and same with her MC. You know, it's not like he's necessarily like this loser or like annoying and you're kind of like, oh my god, like what's up with this dude? Like he just seems like so joyful and happy and like it's so cool kind of like seeing her and kind of like where she came from where it's like I feel like I hope we're gonna get more into her backstory where like it's very cold, it's very harsh, she doesn't have a name, she's only taught to kill, all of her dreams are really nightmares about her killing people or being killed. Like her life seems fucking miserable. And when you think about like if someone's gonna be a high level assassin, that's what it'll be. It'd be like no childhood, very sad, very tough and harsh. And the fact that she kind of stumbled upon his door by a reference, and he seems to kind of be like changing her world around where like she actually starting to like care about food and like she's starting to feel like this warmth where she's like wow like this is crazy now I actually care about like having a name and stuff like that. I feel like it's going to be very very wholesome. I think it's also gonna be very funny like her dream about the fucking sauce was so
Yo,
good.
so good.
But it also seems like it's going to be pretty deep because this kid's parents are missing, and it seems like, you know, there's more to the story. He had that nightmare about his mom, and it just seems like it's going to be, like, pretty comedic, very wholesome, and something that's going to be a bit lighter because we're having a season, like I said, like Blue Lock, ReZero, going to be heavy seasons that are going to be, like, very action-packed, very, like, I guess, core to its like story, you know what I mean, like very very important, you know what I mean, not like a bridge season or something like that. It's gonna be like very important, very heavy hitting. A lot of these other new animes that are coming like DanDaDan, again, more like heavier animes where like there's a lot going on. I feel like this is gonna be a nice one where it's very enjoyable, very laid back, where you just kind of chill out, just watch some Miss Servant, and it's gonna be a great time, you know what I mean. So I'm just blown away by episode 1. Not saying it was like phenomenal, but like way better than I thought. The bar was pretty low.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. I think it'll be really good because you make a really good point too. Like, there's a lot of like heavy core animes out
Yeah.
there right now. Like, almost all of them are in like the meat of some of their stories. So having something that you could just watch, you know, that one episode a week that's just like enjoyable. You know, like I feel like their emotional relationship and kind of them depending on each other to make up for, you know, the home life or her past. You know, that's kind of like a sweet relationship, and hopefully people can identify with that one person you have that connection with, and like that makes for a good dynamic. So I think it'll be cool, and it won't be like too terribly overbearing. I'm sure you'll have your moments that make it really good, but yeah, this exceeded my expectations. So I think Miss Servant will be one I'll be sticking with this season. Definitely was impressed.
Yo, I completely agree. Like it's gonna be really good, and you know we don't have any idea of it yet, but we don't know if there's gonna be like a romance or something like that. It's kind of cool if they are just kind of like special people to each other. You know what I mean? But there's definitely a lot of mysteries kind of going on about his parents, her backstory, and about kind of like everything kind of happening because again she said that she was referred to him and it seems like it was kind of like it was like, oh yeah, by one of your relatives, but like it wasn't like a close relative at all, and it's like, well, why? I feel like there's more to that, and I don't know, maybe this anime can come out of nowhere. It's like some really interesting story on top of it all that just kind of be like, oh shit, like wow, this is like right now this anime is like, oh, okay, yeah, it's pretty good, like I'm gonna watch it, like it's solid, but it's not like I need the next episode, you know what I mean? Like a lot of these other animes, if it brings in a story where it like makes you need that next episode, bro, it's time to be alive, baby, time to be alive. Anime's so good.
Heck yeah, dude. You're exactly right. And I'm still dying, dude. She defeated Truck-kun. She saved MC from
Yep.
getting isekai, dude. He owes her big time.
And dude, that was so sweet too. But she was like, "This is the first time I've ever saved somebody." You know what I mean? Like, there was so
That
many
was
like,
huge.
yeah, there were so many like sweet moments where I was like, "Damn!" And she just seems so like shy and like sweet. And you're like, "Bro, like give her best life, man. Like take care of her. Like you just feel so bad." And dude, the one scene, okay, because we have too many animes to talk about today, boys. But the one scene that kind of like fucking hit, and you're like, whoa, is when they're just hanging out outside at night because they both woke up, and they're kind of having that like moment. They're eating some food, and she was kind of like asking him like, hey, were you like having a bad dream? She kind of walked in, saw he was crying, and she's like, hey, you can put like your head on my lap, right? And he's kind of like, oh, no, 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 right? Because of course he's like very like embarrassed, very nervous about that. But the way where she just like got like walled off, where she was just like just felt very cold, and she's like, yeah, you know what, like that he couldn't do that because I'm just a killing machine. I'm just cold and heartless and ruthless. Like no one could ever look at me like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like an endearing person. And you just see everything kind of get dark, and she gets kind of like overcome with this, like overwhelmed with it. And then he kind of puts his head on her lap, and it all just shatters. And like she just kind of like feels that warmth from him, and like it's kind of like oh wow, like I'm more than this. And it's kind of like yo, that was like such an like an insane kind of like extra moment to add that depth there. Where I'm like yo, this is gonna be like fucking good. This is gonna be pretty goddamn awesome.
I totally agree with you. The one scene that really stuck out to me, and it reminded me of a Kebi sailor uniform, which, yeah, niche anime. I'll leave it at that. But like the visuals when they like pan up to the maid, like the visuals of like her face are really well done and her eyes and stuff. And then when she's walking after like she doesn't get hired, she's walking past that train, like the heat that's coming off like the pavement, and you can see like the sun beating down on her in this hot ass maid outfit. I was like, dude, that is so Japan, so fucking hot. Like she's still out there like in full outfit. Like I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I dig it. But yeah, like there's just so much good stuff out there. But I'm with it. I was very impressed with episode 1, so I'll be there for the second episode definitely.
Yeah, hopefully it follows through. Because it is early, boys. It is early. But speaking of anime, DanDaDan. Yo, what a shocking anime. Dude, I was like, okay, first of all, both the characters are like so good. Like they're just so
Outstanding.
good. I love how the one girl is like very outgoing. She's not like a douchebag popular person. You know what I mean? Like she's so just like carefree, where she's just like kind of walking around. And she's like, oh my god, I gotta find that. Like I forget the name of the dude, but she's like, I gotta find like that one guy from like a movie or manga that she like is like obsessed with. You know what I mean? And she's like, oh, I gotta find him. Like where's that like quiet type but strong? Like dude, come on. And she like looks in the classroom and then sees the kid getting bullied. And then it cuts to her like in the seat looking at them. She looks like a fucking badass. The way she's just kind of sitting like that cold demeanor. Like, yeah, throw something. I'll fucking dare you. Because if you hit me, I'll fuck you up. I was like, oh,
Hell yeah.
like she's fucking cool, like so cool. And then she kind of just walks up and is like, hey man, like I'm not like trying to be your friend. I just hate like dickheads. You know what I mean? But then they're like their interaction, like that friendship that's formed, is just so amazing. The way where she's just like, hey, I don't like care about UFOs or aliens. I don't believe in it. He's like, what? How can you not believe in it? Like he doesn't care. It's not like that. Like oh, she's a popular girl. I'm fucking scared. Like that shit's fucking cringy sometimes, and it's just like hard to watch. But like the way that like he just kind of like doesn't acknowledge that, like just doesn't care. He's just like really passionate about that, and like he's just like geeking out over. And she's like, "Well, I'm into Ghost," and he's like, "Ghost, fucking loser," you know what I mean? And they're both like kind of like in each other's faces and kind of like fighting, and they're like, well, she moved on quick, you know what I mean? Because to them it seems like they're like flirting. Like that was just like something where I was like, yo, this is gonna be so good to watch, because they seem like they're like the chemistry between them is just so good. A great male MC, great female MC, and then the right, dude, it just. I was like, that's how I knew right there in that moment where they're in the hallway, like faces against each other, like screaming at each other. I'm like, dude, this is gonna be fun. I'm really gonna enjoy watching this.
100%, dude. And I was really glad they had that dynamic because, like, I don't know if you remember the guy's name, but it's Ken Takamura or whatever. Something
Yeah.
Ken. So, like, Ken immediately, finally gets, somebody sticks up for him, and it's like this cute girl or whatever, and he immediately goes and just dumps on her about, like, whatever he's into. Like, it's like, dude, so fucking real. And, like, I got a kick out of that. But it was cool. Like, you're exactly right. It wasn't some, like, shy interaction or like one of them were real timid. Like they literally start arguing and talking shit about what they're into, and like that literally is the like antithesis to the relationship and them going out into the rest of the episode. So I thought that was a really cool way to kind of bring them together naturally. And that scene too where she was like, yeah, where's the quiet but strong guy, and then she just happens to look in and see Ken. Like little stuff like that was cool. Well, but the very opening scene too, where she like, I don't know, she's like talking to that delinquent looking guy, and she just throws like a head kick at him. I'm like, all right, sick. Momo's cool as shit. Tries to like knock this guy out.
Fuck yeah! In the part where you kind of brought up about that, where she's looking for that shy but like strong guy, it's Ken Tanaki. It's that name. She's like, oh, by the way, like, what's your name? And he's like, oh, like Ken. And she's like, Ken. He's like, yeah, Ken Tanaki. And she's like, what the fuck? Like
The explosion behind her.
you have this same name as the guy that I'm like obsessed with, and you know what I mean. And he's that like kind of like quiet kid who later in the episode you kind of see is like kind of a badass. Like bro doesn't fuck around. Like he's like cool. Like he's like afraid, but like he doesn't let that fear stop him. And then like going into like the second part was just so cool because you know they both then sit there and they're like, okay, well like I'm gonna send you one place that has like aliens, and she's gonna send him someplace that has ghosts, and they're gonna prove to each other that they're real, and they were both right. The reasons too for believing in them was very like deep. It was very interesting, you know what I mean? Seeing her kind of get picked on, and especially by the guy that she had a crush on, was just, you know, so like heartbreaking. And like the way that she talked about the complexity of like that feeling, where like she hated her grandma, but at the same, but she made her do that, and got like picked on and picked on by the guy she likes, but then also hates them because it's like fuck you for picking on my grandma type thing. You know what I mean? Is kind of like that clash was just insane to like hear about, and it was displayed really well. And then about him like not having friends, but like just hoping aliens were there because they'll be his friends. Just added a lot of depth to these things that they're like, oh, like we kind of just like, but then like, oh, you realize why they like them. It's like, oh, like that makes sense. Like that's actually interesting. But then yeah, him turning in, getting possessed was pretty fucking cool. Him turning into that thing. Episode 2, I guess they're gonna be fighting it in that sewer, which is gonna be absolutely awesome. But leading into that, we were talking about that one scene, bro. It was just a little unnecessary. They did. DanDaDan created two amazing characters. They created so many funny moments, great animation, like a good story. But like, bro, you didn't have to put that scene in there where when she's abducted by aliens. Because like, it's so unnecessary in the fact that like, I don't think it would have made a difference in the story if it was in there or not. And then they have it, and they try to make a joke out of it. Like they try to have comedy with it, and I'm like, it's not funny. It's creepy, bro. Like put the robot penis away. Like that when that happened, I was like, bro, I'm like, this is this is something. We started off really good, but like what?
Like the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, oh man, what scene are you talking about? Like this has been fucking awesome so far.
Mm-hmm.
And you're definitely right. The contrast of like why they like, you know, ghosts and, you know, her grandma being a spirit medium. I thought that was really cool. And like, I don't know, everybody can kind of relate to those characters in a way, and like those motives, which I thought was cool. Or, you know, you're into something like, I remember being into anime in like middle school more so much than high school because it got a little more popular, but like you were a straight dork if you were watching Naruto. And now like people walk around with like, you know, t-shirts or backpacks and stuff. It's like totally normal. But like back then, man, it was like, yo, what's wrong with Naruto? So like I could definitely identify with that. Yeah, the scene was just a little much. Like I kind of enjoyed like the interpretation of what aliens look like, because like everybody just thinks, you know, like Marvin the Martian or like a little green guy with antennas. So like I always kind of like fuck with some of those creative interpretations on what aliens are. But yeah, the whole scene, like even her getting like abducted and all that, they just didn't have to like tear her clothes off and like make rapey jokes. Like I thought that was a little much. You know what I mean? Like, especially for their age, it's always like a high school aged girl. Like that's kind of where I draw the line. Like you didn't need to do that. You could have had like the whole abduction scene and not, you know, gone that far with it. But I did notice, I rewatched a couple scenes, not that one, but in the very beginning, it says it's like mature. You know, you have smoking.
Oh yeah, it's just TVMA.
So I'm like, yeah, it's like a more mature, you know, and there's like elements of horror in it. I didn't really feel that. Like I know what they mean by that, but like I was like, all right, I guess it makes a little more sense. But yeah,
I feel like the horror was for the ghost, because they try to make the ghost like very creepy and stuff.
I thought that scene was sick. He like turns around and I thought it was funny because she has Luffy's voice actor, you know, the old little lady. She's like comes out with that line, "Let me gobble your weenie." It was like, oh, Luffy would never say that. And I was just dying. But like I guess they call her Turbo Granny or whatever. Like I was looking some stuff up. Like that's just such a good name, especially with like the whole speed thing. So I thought that was cool as shit.
See, that's the thing. I feel like the spirit side of it was done really well with like the ghosts and stuff. I feel like everything about that was sick. He's walking in there. There's this bloody footprints. You have the granny, and like everything with that was just like very cool, very funny. But yeah, when she got abducted by aliens, it was just like, it's the fact that they also try to keep making it funny, but it's like, bro, it's not funny. It's like really uncomfortable, and it's like it doesn't impact the episode. Because her getting abducted by aliens, like that kind of made the impression that you needed. Like, okay, she got abducted, she needs to be saved. That's it. You know what I mean? They could have just went along the lines of, oh, we got to cut her open and experiment. You know what I mean? Not, hey, we're gonna impregnate you by force, and we're gonna keep bringing it up. Like it was like multiple scenes in that one part.
And they mention either like the female part of the race like went extinct or something,
Mm-hmm.
or they like it's incredibly hard for them to reproduce. So like that's why we're abducting you. Like cool, that's the plot point. You know what I mean? You have your
Yeah.
villains or whatever. Like put your robot dick away. Like
Yeah,
for real.
that bro, that
And like
happened. I
I
was like,
guess
ah.
the element of like comedy they were trying to like make it funny, but I was definitely uncomfortable. I was not like, yeah, this is like kind of funny. So I guess they did their job. They made me feel uncomfortable. But yeah, hopefully, and like, you know, I don't know if it's like fan service or whatever, because I don't know anything about the manga or really anything. Other than that, dude, gorgeous animation, super, super cool. I was really, really impressed. I can definitely see why people are like super hype on this being one of the big next gen animes.
Absolutely, especially because after it, everything that happened after it was very good. It's like it. You can tell, like, okay, well, I believe in ghosts now. You believe in aliens, and it kind of like bonded them. Where like they feel like good friends now. Where like they ended up escaping, which was very cool. He had the ability of this spirit where she kind of got rid of it, but he's still cursed. But now we kind of know that she kind of has those like powers that her grandma has, which is gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be very like spiritual bound. Something else telling you should watch Dark Gathering kind of gives me those vibes, which is very good. If it is like those Dark Gathering vibes with like spirits and shit, oh boys, we're in for a great fucking anime. But that's what's gonna be so cool, and just like their kind of like relationship kind of built off of that, where he's kind of like, yo, like take my clothes, man. Like put on some clothes. I'm gonna go fight this thing. I appreciate it, but like I got us into this mess. I'll get us out. And she's like, nah, like I got you. Like we're gonna fight this thing together. We're gonna kick its ass. It seems like it's going to be again just such a fucking awesome relationship between those two. Um, and it's just gonna be like badass where we have a bunch of like creepy shit with like aliens and like spirits and the fighting and the action's gonna be really good, and we haven't even met all the characters yet. There's still like 2 or 3 more people on the cover that we have yet to meet, and this seems like it's gonna be more of a friend group instead of just those two. So I'm so excited to see where this goes, especially from here, because I'm assuming they're gonna kick the granny's ass, but then what comes after that, you know what I mean? What's the actual like plot of this? And it seems like it's gonna be an anime that's not gonna tell you it right off the bat, but build it as it goes, and whenever they do that, it's just great anime. It's just a great story. So I'm so excited for this. Honestly, like it has the start and the feel of like Kaiju 8, where it's like, yo, it just checks every box. It's gonna be so good, and it's gonna be something I'm heavily addicted to. I quote way too much, and I fanboy over too much. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
that kind of anime, or at least it has that start, that kind of feel like it's going to be. But like awesome first episode. I can't wait to see more. And it's another one that's on Netflix. Unlike Blue Box, it's on Netflix and Crunchyroll. So maybe this is going to help it get a little bit more popularity. And hopefully we'll see if it's going to get some awards or what's going to kind of happen. But anything where like we talked about it, even made a video, Hulu and Netflix are showing up. They're really getting into the anime scene, which is going to be huge for anime. So I think that it being on Netflix is going to be very cool.
Who did the animation for DanDaDan?
No idea. Is it
I thought it was
DanDaDan or
like
DanDaDan? I keep calling it
it,
DanDaDan.
I don't know, dude. I wouldn't say it right anyway, to be honest with you. I'll try and stick with DanDaDan. Um, I can't see who did it. But like the art is super fucking good, and like the funny facial expressions I thought were really well done because like they're very fluid and like you get that comedic element out of it, but it still looks good and it's like visually appealing. I thought that was really cool, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely with you. I think this will be, you know, up for some of the awards, and I could see it getting like really, really popular. Really great characters. You have a wicked duo for your MCs. Um, there's just like everything to love. You're exactly right. It's giving me that kind of like Kaiju number 8 vibe, where you like you feel the hype. You know it's gonna deliver. I'm very excited for the second episode and the rest of the season. And also the opening song, fire. I
Yo.
feel like anytime you got enough swag or hype to like get a song written
Yep.
for your intro, you're legit. So I dig it. So definitely check it out. It's a good tune.
Yeah, the anime awards this year are going to be absolutely insane. Because like one thing we haven't talked about because we weren't able to watch it because of High Dive. Like we got to remember, Oshinoko season 2 came out this year, and it is kind of out right
Oh
now.
yeah.
And that's been bodying. I heard that that's been fucking amazing. We have a lot of animes that are coming out with new seasons that are just really good and that have come out like I said, the beginning and middle of this year have been like really fucking good. And then you talk about new anime that's come out. I swear to God, because I'm pretty sure as a category, like best new anime, if
Yeah.
Solo Leveling wins it, I'm gonna stick my foot in all of your mouths because I mean, when you look at like yeah, because it just did not hit. When you look at stuff like again Kaiju 8, something like DanDaDan's making a good first impression. Like Wistoria even, you know what I mean? Like we had a lot of animes that came out like that premiered this year that were just like high level, like just tip of the iceberg. Like damn, these are good. These are some S tier animes. So like it's gonna be really hard to kind of vote into kind of pick like yo like what was the best this year like damn that's gonna be really hard, so I'm excited to kind of get into that and to see that later on.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be really interesting this year. Like, I remember the year Jujutsu Kaisen was up. I think it was for season two, just like dominated everything, which
Mm-hmm.
was cool. It definitely deserved it, but I feel like there's way more competition this year. And I'm with you. I liked Solo Leveling, but I think with like a recap episode, like if you look at the full body of work, I would rather see something else win or something that's newer. You know what I mean? Because Solo Leveling does have a really big, um, I don't know if it's a webtoon or what, a manga or whatever it is. There's like a huge body of work there too. So like I think something newer and fresher for that award would be cool to see. But I feel like DanDaDan has some like serious hype and potential. I'm with you. I could see that definitely being up for some awards.
Well, the problem is that I think the most highly anticipated anime of this year was Solo Leveling. I think it had the biggest fan base coming
Yeah.
into it, and I think it got bodied this year. Like, I'm sorry, but like you look at some of the new anime that came out that like especially didn't have as much hype, and you're like, yo, fuck, like it just didn't live up. I know it had some negative impressions from people. This people didn't like certain scenes. Like it had its faults, but like then you look at all the new stuff that came out, and it's like, yo, like our like bar has been set so high on what needs to happen when you
True.
drop a new anime. Like we had so many that dropped this year that were just perfection. Where I was like, yo, like you killed it, and they're coming in with not as much hype. It's like I feel like I feel like when it first came out and it ended, we talked about it and we're like, yeah, not that impressed. You know, with considering all the hype, I knew nothing about it, didn't read the manga. I'm like, this is what you guys are freaking out about? Pretty good. I had some moments where I was like, oh god, this is fucking sick. You know what I mean? But like, did it live up to the hype? I don't know. But then you kind of see everything else that come out and you're like, whoa, like that's really good. You know what I mean? Like it aged worse as the year went on because the anime that's just been dropping has been so good.
That's a really good point. And I know we've like joked about it a bunch of times, like Peaktober and like how good this season's going to
It
be.
is. It's peaked
And
over.
even though, but it is. And like, I'm definitely with you. I think this season will kind of be the most popular and have like
Mhm.
the most stuff up for awards and kind of have like the best overall. I mean, dude, and that's like a lot for me. Like, is like the animes that are coming out. Like, I already know Kenshin's good. I know Bleach is good. We know Blue Lock's good. ReZero's good. Like, those are established like heavy hitters. And then on top of that, you have like new animes that are premiering. Like a really, really like high potential romance anime. I thought Blue Lock or Blue Box. I already knew I was gonna make that mistake. Going into the I was like, yeah, Blue Lock, Blue Box. I already messed it up. But Blue Box, really, really, really good. And we'll get into that, but like there's just a ton of stuff that's coming out that has me excited, in addition to the ones that you already know are gonna be heavy hitters.
You know what's gonna be really crazy about the anime awards? And then we got to move on and start getting through some of these other animes because there's so much to talk about.
And
It's you're really gonna see who's actually an anime fan and who's fake as fuck, or like I guess shallow, because like I feel like one
yes.
thing that we're gonna see is something like okay, are people watching some of like the more low key animes, ones that aren't as hyped up or as popular or as just thrown in your face everywhere? You know what I mean? Because like My Hero Academia came out the new season, that cannot even be in the conversation for anime of the year. It can't. Like there's a lot that happened. It's like really cool, has some solid scenes, but the pacing is really bad. It's very like choppy where you're missing a lot of weeks and it's not like fluid with when it's coming out and it has a lot of recap in it. So like even though it's like okay, there's some like a cool season, it cannot be up for anime of the year. And if it is, and if it does well, it just shows that a lot of people are just going to go with the big names. A lot of people aren't going to actually like look into anime, start watching some of the other ones that are like that start coming out. You know what I mean? It's all just like the big names, and that's it. And it's very like shallow. And I say this
Very
because last year of Horimiya Missing Pieces, that one romance anime of the year, it was fucking not even a real anime. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of the
yeah.
missing scenes like just stapled together into episodes. You know what I mean? It was enjoyable. I enjoyed watching it. It was nice to watch it again. So I liked Horimiya. I really did. I thought it's a great anime. You know what I mean? But season 2, the missing pieces was not like real. It was just random scenes thrown together that were missed, and somehow it won Romance Anime of the Year. Like I'm sorry, excuse me, what? You know, it just shows that the big household name is just gonna win, even though no one else is gonna watch all the other low key stuff. Because there were some banger romance animes last year that just didn't get love.
You make a really good point. I feel like people do kind of stick with some of the bigger names, but
Mm.
I I guess I would say I don't want to say hardcore fan, but I guess that's the only word that's coming to mind. But like I'll watch more anime or like take a chance. Like if you recommend something, it's like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. Versus people who might be, you know what I mean? I like shonen. That's my thing. I'm watching Solo
Yeah.
Leveling, My Hero, Bleach this year, like which is totally fine. I totally get that. But I don't know how much of my like um willingness to watch something else compares with other people or like the more casual average anime fan. So I think you have a good point. You're probably right. But yeah, hopefully some of the fresher faces, if you will, get some love at the awards this year.
Yeah, I just think that that's what's really going to show it how much of the anime base is again more of the big name people, because if you have some big names that really kind of get the nominations and kind of like do well, it kind of just shows people aren't watching, because like stuff like Solo Leveling, like I'm down, I can't wait for season 2. I hope it can really come back in and impress and show that, hey, like we are a fucking awesome anime. People love it for a reason. Here's why, and really can outshine season 1. My Hero Academia is coming to a close. Hopefully it goes out on an absolute bang. You know what I mean? But like if animes like that do well, it kind of just shows how little people are watching some of the low key stuff that like isn't even low key. It's like fucking awesome. It just isn't as household name as everything else. Like there's so many animes this year that are coming out with new seasons that like new like premieres, like they came out this year, where it's like, yo, like they need some recognition, because like they fucking killed. Like they did so well. They raised that bar so goddamn high. It's actually insane.
Hell yeah. And I think that matters too, to give it that recognition,
Mm-hmm.
because that really any publicity, and I mean it's TV shows, music,
Yeah.
movies, any form of art and entertainment. If you don't hear about it, you'll never know to check it out. And word of mouth is one thing, but you know, you're going to listen to your friends and people you trust, not strangers or, just some guy you see on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Like, I feel like, oh, that was up for an award. Maybe I'll check that out. So I think that is important. And it's just like sports, you know what I mean? Like the guy who wins the MVP. Yeah, well, there's other three guys were still really good too. And hopefully, it's not the same four people every year, which like as a football fan, you know what I mean? You kind of feel that way. So I don't want it to happen to anime
I was
this year.
saying, like, we're talking about anime, so people and I might not get like the football references, but every year, like, the MVP is always the quarterback. It's like let's stop. You know what I mean? Like let's stop. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like we're kind of seeing the same thing with anime, where maybe some like the bigger names are kind of just randomly getting the awards when it's like, yo, like that guy played so much better. You know what I mean? Like that anime was way better. Like I hate to break it to you. So
Exactly.
yeah, we're probably gonna piss some people off with that one, but yo, I cannot wait to see the animes award this year and keep going with that. But yo, let's get into Blue Box, because goddamn Blue Box. Yeah, we're gonna go Blue Box and then Blue Lock, and then yeah, we're solid. But yeah, we gotta go to Blue Box, dude.
Oh yeah.
I think Blue Box is gonna completely kind of like change romance anime in a way, because here's the thing: me and my buddy were actually talking about it. He doesn't really watch anime, but he loves reading manga, and he's read the Blue. Like he's even saying, he's like, hey man, there's like this.
Oh, word.
He wrote to me. He's like, yo, do you watch like romance anime? I'm like, fuck yeah. He's like, dude, there's this one coming out. It's called Blue Box. I'm like, bro, I'm obsessed with it. I watched it 2 days ago. Fucking. And he's like, really? He's like, dude, I
Sick.
love it. He's like, we started getting into it. And one of the things where I think Blue Box is really going to stand out is because, like, you don't want the romance to just instantly hit and be there. Like, there is that build up. There are those bits of frustration where, it's the up and down before you get to the end goal. You know what I mean? It is a journey per se, and I think with a lot of romance animes where a lot of people don't like them and kind of hate them is because it then gets boring, it then gets dry, it then gets frustrating. And I think Blue Box, what it's going to do and it's going to excel in, this going to be so fucking amazing, is that one, the animation is just gorgeous, the artwork is just such an aesthetically pleasing anime. Like it looks so good. The edits I've already seen of it are crazy. But it's also really funny. It's got a lot of great characters, kind of like in Horimiya, where it had a bunch of like outside characters outside the main couple that were just really enjoyable, really funny, really made the anime. But it also has that sports aspect. You have a lot of things that fill up that dry time where like the romance might not be hitting yet. It might be building up, working, kind of going through the obstacles, but there's other things in this anime that are then like occupying your time, occupying your interest, keeping you engaged. And like the sports side of it, I feel like it's gonna be insane because there's that one scene where he's talking to her and like, first of all, great first episode. And he's talking about like, oh yeah, like basketball isn't really for me, is when they did the 1v1. And he's like, I like Batman, so I like being the center stage, I like having it all on my shoulders, you know what I mean? And it shows that scene of him on the court, the lights coming down, and it just reminded me of that volleyball anime where I'm like, yo, is the action and the sports aspect of this anime gonna fucking body as well? You know what I mean? And my buddy was even saying, no spoilers, I didn't get any, but he did say, he's like, the sports aspect of it is so fucking good. And we even saw it a little bit in practice, but like watching this guy play Batman, it's gonna be like with Blue Lock, where like it takes soccer and makes it like one of the most interesting sports in the world. I feel like Batman we're all gonna be fans of it. But this anime has multiple boxes that is checked. It has multiple aspects of it that's going to bring you there each and every week to watch, and it just great first episode. I cannot wait for I cannot wait for more.
I'm definitely with you. I think I was maybe a few scenes in, like when she's shooting at the gym, and I was just like, what's her name? Chinatsu or something?
I wrote it down, guys. I wrote it down. It's Chinatsu.
Chinatsu. All right. I was like, dude, she's definitely going to be like, whatever you want to call it, waifu of the year, best girl of the year, like great energy, great personality. And like, I really liked the fact that, like, great episode. It was, a good pilot and everything.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's like kind of about their relationship. It's about the sports and the individual sports they play. They're not, both playing the same sport. And it doesn't, in a way, it doesn't just focus on their high school life and the fact that Chinatsu's like the prettiest, the smartest, the most athletic. You know what I mean? She's the princess of the school. Like, it's not about that. It's more about, like his admiration. She's always in the gym and like they came up short last year. Stuff like that, I think, makes it a little bit more realistic. And like at that age, like in, like those high school situations, or even as you get a little older, like it's still a little more realistic. Like, that's why he has a crush on her, because she's always in the gym busting it, like, chasing her dreams and stuff, rather than just like, well, I'm a loser and I like the most attractive girl in school. Like, well, let's be a little more realistic. Like, the friends are like, yeah, don't aim too high, or like, she's out of your league type thing. They kind of bust his chops, but it's, through the episode, you can kind of see it's not really about that. And their mothers know each other, which I thought was kind of a cool connection. Like, it was just really well done, and like it felt very organic. But the whole time I was just like, especially when he like kind of like overdoes it when he goes to like give her the scarf and like all this stuff because he thinks she has a cold.
Scene.
And he's like, oh, I jumped the gun. Like, I feel like everybody's had that moment in their head where they're like, yep, came on too strong, or like said a little bit too much. And then she gives it back and says his name. She's like, yeah, I wonder why I know your name. It's written on your scarf. Like, very, very funny. Like, good joke. I don't know. I thought it was perfectly well done. And I thought in 23 minutes for all these animes, you didn't really get too much. I thought her personality really was able to shine. And that was my thought. She'll definitely be like the best girl of the season.
Bro, there's also like that scarf scene where like she kind of just sits there and kind of like looks at him. And he's like, oh, what? Like, I went too far. Like, I'm so sorry. She's like, I'm just waiting to see what else you're gonna hand me. You know what I mean? The way that she kind of like just joked about it was like in such a good way. Like, what's so awesome is that she's not like conceited. Like, that's the one thing where like sometimes they make like, oh, the popular girl like very like snobby and like bitchy, but like it's not always the case. Like, some people are just kind of popular just because they're well known. You know what I mean? It's not like she is the princess of the school. She's the team's next ace. You know what I mean? She's the team's next star player. Who's very passionate, very driven about basketball. You see her constantly like, oh, what book's she reading? It's plays. You know what I mean? All she cares about is basketball and winning. You know what I mean? And when she's just kind of like in the gym, like she kind of sees how he's in the gym. She like respects that, and it's not like, oh, like I'm better than you, I'm not going to talk to you. Like, she's like, oh, hey, like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, she's just very like cool with him. It's not like, oh, I'm above you type thing. He's just another person. I like how they designed him too, because it's not like that case where it's like, oh, like is either like some like really dorky guy who never has a chance, but magically through plot armor he's gonna have a chance, or some dude who's like very attractive, very talented. He's not popular because he can't be for the story, you know what I mean? Type shit. He's like a dude who's like pretty average. He's like pretty built. He like seems like a great guy. He seems very cool, funny. You could tell he has friends. He has like a lot of friends. That one girl, him and her interaction, the girl who swims, so funny. The way he's like, oh, like what? You're
Yeah.
not in elementary school. She's like, what are you talking about? Like I'm not that short. So I was kicking the shit out of him. Like you're not that tall either. And the one dude's like, you both are like in elementary school. Like what are you guys doing? Like Jesus, these two. But like their interactions are just like so good. Like she's such a cool character, and like the way that they like talk to each other, it's like, yeah, like they're both in the gym like very early, you know what I mean? It's natural that they're gonna like talk or joke around or hang out, and it's so cool the way that they designed everything, I guess. Like I don't know, it's hard to describe. And also just I've been rambling, so I've lost train of thought. So like bro, when you talk too much you're like dude, I don't know like where I'm going anymore, like I just can't think. But like yeah, it's I'm really excited to kind of see where it goes. Like, I think their interactions are gonna be really good. They're living together now, which is gonna be awesome. Like the way that they put that together too, where he's like the magazine's open on the table. She's like, oh my god, like there she is, and her mom's like, oh, you like know him, like you know her, and he's like, well, not really, because he didn't want to like. Yeah, you know, jump the gun again. And she's like, starts going on about it. She's like, yeah, it's a shame they're moving in March. And he's like, what? And he leaves. And she's like, oh, well, my parents are. I'm going to be staying with an acquaintance. It's like, wonder who that acquaintance is. You know, his mom just said, you know, they used to, the two moms used to be teammates and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's going to be really good. I think the way it's been set up, the way it's been progressing is going to be like awesome. Like, that was an episode that had so much in it, but also felt like it was 5 minutes long.
Yeah, it felt really fast despite having a lot of like, action, we'll call it, like a lot of story there. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it'll be really interesting her living together with the MC, because like obviously that'll impact the relationship every day. Like, they're growing together and stuff. I think that's a good setup. But also the sports aspect, I'm really excited too, because I'm a big sports fan. So I think that'll, you know, you're a fan of both, the romance anime, but also like the sports action.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll just be a perfect setup. It'll definitely be a home run this season. And like really, really well done. The animations and like the face shots and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought they was like really impressive. Very, very good pick.
Yeah, dude, they fucking killed it with episode one. But let's go into Blue Lock. You know, the other blue anime, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking episode. Oh, dude, the first episode. I mean, like, holy shit, so good. The way that the Isagi, I think that's his name. I gotta write these all down. I know it's spelled Isagi, but I don't know if it's pronounced that way. The way he didn't get in the top technically seven was very interesting, but I also didn't think he would, because I mean, there's some absolute monsters in that school. But going back to that, when he like is in the bathroom and like the king, talks to him, he's like, "Hey, I'm kind of surprised you weren't in the top six." He's like, "Really? Like me?"
Oh shit. Yeah,
And he's
me?
like, "Well, I want to beat you the most, so you better get up there, you fucking bitch. I don't want to have my rival be some deadbeat who's not even in the top 10." You know what I mean? So like seeing like these rivalries and like the friendships kind of come out, really was a good like refresher. Because they're in Blue Lock. Like it's all about competitiveness. It's all about stepping over the other guy to get to the top. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, they built some bonds, some friendships along the way. So kind of like coming back and seeing the complexity of that, and the way that works was just very cool to see in this episode, because there was a bunch of that like contradiction, because you have to pick, okay, what pair do I want to go with? And you kind of saw where he's like, oh, do I go with Nagi? And he's like, oh, well, this may be the last time I can play with him before he's too far away from me to reach. And you think that, oh, he's going to go with Nagi too, but then he goes with Rin, because he knows that Rin's a beast, and this is his last chance to kind of play with him, but he wants to dominate him and get to the top. I'm like, bro, I feel like it's gonna be so good, and I feel like this season 2 is gonna be awesome. Like, because obviously Isagi's gonna have to make it to U20, right? He's gonna have to make it to that game, and I feel like what's really gonna be that like binding moment is gonna be the number 1 and number 2 ranked are clashing heads. And they even kind of said that the I forget the one guy who's kind of running the whole thing. He wants to see how compatible they are with them, but also if they can kind of stand out. And I feel like where Isagi is really going to shine is that number 1 and number 2 are butting heads a lot. You need someone who's able to make them gel, make them work, and I think that that's the purpose of that duo, because he sees it. He said that he paired them up purposefully that way. where he thinks that they can bring out the most potential. So he's like, I think that's what he wants to see. If he can find someone to be the glue between those two, if he can find someone to get them to work together, it's gonna be insane. But yeah, what an episode! I thought it was really good. It's like we're back. Like there's gonna be some absolute monsters. The character designs of a lot of these new characters that we're
So
introduced to,
good.
they look so cool. Their personality seems so cool. It seems like there's gonna be a shit ton of action. It seems like it's gonna be so good. I can't wait.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head. That aspect of like, and this is like pretty real for soccer. I a couple years ago started watching the Premier League, like English soccer,
Hmm.
because my brother needed somebody to like literally just yap about it with. So I'm like, whatever, I'll start watching. And it's really, really like accurate how Blue Lock portrays like that ego, that competitiveness, and the desire to stand out and be the man on your team, and have that level of acclaim, but also be able to work together and be like a good teammate and set other people up for success because you can't do it on your own. It's a team game, and
Hmm.
I think Blue Lock probably better than any other anime. And I've only, I'm not like a super big sports manga guy or whatever. Exemplifies that the best because these are young kids that are trying to, build the best possible future and set themselves up for literally, fame and like a good future and a good team in the future. So like it's what by any means necessary, it's whatever you have to do to look better than the other guy, but you also still have to win, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
work together. And I think that's so sick. And as soon as I started watching it, you're like, oh yeah, we're so back. This is so good.
Hmm.
And like there's a lot of really cool elements to each character. And like you said, the designs are really sick. They look badass. But it'll be really cool to see how the relationship dynamics and how some of those rivalries, if they can kind of overcome that and put the team first or like put the objective to win first, which I feel like I have, like I just said, I really haven't got that from any other anime or manga. So I think that's super badass. And with more characters in the mix, I think that'll just kind of amplify that, especially at the talent level they're at.
I feel like kind of like what you're saying too. That like also like makes Blue Lock is it embraces the monster, the competitive monster. The I will fucking do anything to win.
Yeah,
Like do whatever
yeah.
you want. I would do anything. Like the scenes of Rin's brother and like the aura, the flame that they would show. First of all, it always looks like that's the best part of Blue Lock is that shit. Like when Isagi's eyes like start the blue flames start coming out, and he starts thinking of it, and the pieces are coming together, and he's going for that. Like it just hypes you up. That's the thing about Blue Lock that like people love is the energizing that it does, where it just gets you so motivated, so ready because you see those scenes, you see this competitiveness with all these guys. You're like, yes, I want to go find something and be the best in it. I want to fucking demolish everybody. I want to just like work harder than anybody. Like it's just so fucking awesome, and that's where I think that this season's really gonna excel because like I said, we're gonna have some real fucking monsters in this season. Like last season you had some duds, you know what I mean? There were some people that were like you know what I mean, and it was kind of like just showing the diamonds in the rough. Now it's just a bunch of diamonds, you know what I mean? You have the best like 35 strikers, I think it's strikers that they're looking for, yeah, um in the country. You know what I mean? Like they are absolutely insane. They are all disgustingly talented. You know what I mean? So the fact that they're all going to compete and grow and evolve as the game goes on, as the season goes on, is going to be so good to watch. I mean, like seeing them all get like just amped up and the flames kind of come off is just gonna be so cool. And I mean, then you look at the U20 team, and I feel like the U20 team has kind of been kind of like spit on a little bit because it's like we've been following Blue Lock the whole time. Of course, we're Team Blue Lock. We haven't really seen anything from U20. The only thing we know about that is that Rin's brother is going to be on it. You know what I mean? But then we kind of see the team captain at the end, and he's got the two different color eyes, and like he looks so fucking cool too. He's got a beard.
So
He looks like a
tough.
man. You know what I mean? While recently we've been
Yeah.
kind of seeing these guys, and they kind of seem more like kids. You know, so it's kind of just been like, yo, like this is gonna be a war. Like this is gonna be a battle. Not only U20 versus Blue Lock, but like Blue Lock getting there. Like who's gonna make the team? Like this is gonna be fucking insane. It's gonna be a season of nonstop action of just like, oh my god, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a season that is just driven and that you're just like looking for each and every second of each and every episode. Like you need more. It's just not enough.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. That's perfect. Like the maturation of the story and characters from like leaving behind the people who didn't quite cut it or
Hmm.
were only good at like a college level compared to the pros type thing. Yeah, just like the maturation of the story and kind of like leaving behind the people that didn't cut it and were kind of at like a certain level versus, being the best of the best and a total professional. Now it's all diamonds, like you were saying. It's only those competitive monsters and, that element of being a little egotistical, but also doing what it takes to win and standing out. I think there's going to be so many battles and so many instances where it's like main characters against each other and like big personalities and stuff. Like, I'm so excited to see it, and there's going to be a lot of it. I definitely think this will be like one of the bigger moments of the season, and there's just going to be so much of it. You're definitely right, though. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested because I don't feel like Blue Lock has the anime of the year kind of like caliber. Like there's like a feel to that kind of anime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's a different pedigree. And I don't know if Blue Lock has it, but I definitely think it's going to be like one of the greatest seasons of this year because of that. And like it's just tough. I think Oshinoko is going to be kind of the sleeper. I think if it's not on High Dive and on everything else, it's going to win. But like I feel like Blue Lock's gotta gonna be in the conversation because like this season looks like it's gonna be absolutely just addicting. I think that's gonna be the right word. It's gonna be
yeah,
absolutely addicting. It's gonna be like one of the only like seasons of this year where like you just obsessively need the next episode. Where it's like, listen, like now, like you know what I mean? Like I need to see the next one now. And we haven't even gotten into like the action part of it where like they're all like competing and stuff. Like that's the crazy part. Like the first part of it is going to be all of those matches. You know what I mean? Like that tournament style match to see who makes the team. Then they make the team. Then it's against U20. You know what I mean? Like there was like 2 phases to the season, which is gonna be absolutely incredible. And one thing I really like about Blue Lock is that it doesn't slander ego. I've always like thought of this. I think ego is very, very important, but like on field. I feel like where ego is a problem
yeah,
is when you're out of the competitive setting because then you're just a douchebag. But like ego is confidence. Ego is understanding your abilities. Like if you're gonna make that big play to like win the big game, like let's say the Super Bowl, you need to have the balls to fucking try it, to be the guy that gets it. You know, like let's say like Odell Beckham Jr. if we're still talking about the NFL, like you need to have the ego to be like, yo, put me up against the best. I want to go against him. I want to show you what I can do. You know what I mean? I can go and I can make that play. And you see a lot of players kind of like fall off because they lose that edge. They lose that ego. They lose that competitiveness of like, yo, I'm me. I can go and I can make the plays that no one else can. I can go and do the things no one else can. You know, if you're passive and you're just like, oh, I don't have an ego. Let's have this all play together as a team. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to have those moments of shine, and you're not going to be able to make the big plays and do the things that really need to get done. So I like how they take it to the extreme, but I like how they've really reinforced that. Where like if you really look at it, all he's doing is pushing them to the best of their abilities. So he's pushing them past every limit they thought they had. He's making them get creative. He's making them adapt and evolve. He's making them trust in themselves. Because that was something that was said in the very beginning of season 1. He's like, where is, like, what's your key? What is the thing that you can do over and over and over and over again and just replicate goals and get 100 of them? And that's where Isagi learned the, was it like the instant shot goal where he hits it like midair? You know what I mean? Like he's really kind of teaching them how to kind of be that star player, but like of course it's going too far with the egos. So like I like how they're diving into that, and I can't wait to see how it evolves further on because now you have a whole group of forwards, it's like of like offensive players. It's going to be, they even kind of said that they're going to real defensive players against U20, and it's one thing going against each other, like in season 1 and now in season 2, where it's like, okay, I can make a good move against you, but yeah, you're dog shit at defense. Of course, like anyone's able to dangle you up. What's going to happen against someone who's really actually good at defense? You know what I mean? At the same time, too, you're going to have a field full of players that can all score. You know what I mean? So, like, it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I can't wait to see how the egos collide. I can't wait to see how the matchup ends up happening. It's going to be, like, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
you make a really good point. I think, um, not to just overly glaze, but like Blue Lock, it kind of puts ego in like a more positive light because you're right. Ego is kind of associated with like negative, off field stuff.
Selfishness.
Like selfishness. Yeah, that's a perfect word for it. Um, I'm like a huge sports fan. Tom Brady was talking about the Buccaneers,
Mm-hmm.
and after he retired, they were like, "Oh, it wasn't fun." He was like such a hard ass and stuff. And he was like, "I didn't go there to have fun. I didn't want you to like me. I went there to win championships and be the best football player. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if you like me." And that's what we went out there and did. And everybody liked winning the Super Bowl. And it was like, yeah, like you don't have to like Tom Brady, or you might think he's an asshole or he works too hard. but they got the job done. They went all the way. And it's like, that's what matters. I like that ego and that confidence. It's more confidence than I think being selfish. And in sports, only the best have that. They have some degree of ego. And I think Blue Lock is really the only anime or manga, whatever you want to use there. Like, it's the only kind of place I've seen that ego kind of emphasized and, like you said, taken to the extreme. But yeah, some of these battles are going to be wicked. I think it's going to be popping off all season. So we're in for a treat for sure.
And you bring up like Tom Brady, but it's also like the embodiment of Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I feel like a lot of it is forged, and a lot of people don't realize it. A lot of it is forged in the practice and the hard work. Like Isagi, he didn't have the ego before he went into Blue Lock. Well, why did he develop it? How is it getting more aggressive? Oh, because he's putting in more time. He's becoming a way better player. He's understanding himself as a player way more in his abilities. He knows what he's capable of now. You know what I mean? He knows that there is no limit. You're the one who's putting that limit on it. You can do like him right now compared to episode 1 of season 1 is a fucking total difference. Like a complete
Way
180.
different.
You know what I mean? So that ego is being developed by getting better, by understanding who he is as a player and understanding what he's capable of and what he can do and how much he can push himself and go further. You know what I mean? And it's just like I feel like that's where it really stems from because a lot of the guys that are, professionals and have that ego, a lot of them can fucking back it up. A lot of them have,
Yeah.
trophies and championships that said, yeah, like I am that guy. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of, yeah, I like how they kind of emphasize on that more, where it's like you kind of see how that ego's developed and then how it's used.
Very good point. How it's used too, I think is probably a better way to put it than like gibberish. But I'm
No,
excited,
you're-
man. I think it's going to be awesome. And I think it'll definitely be one of the like more popular aspects of a very jam-packed and successful anime season. I'm really excited to get into it and having like kind of gotten into English soccer a little bit more than I would have liked to. Of course, I got to root for a difficult team. Go Arsenal. Yeah, it's kind of made me like more apt to like enjoy it and enjoy the soccer side of it too. Like, because you're exactly right. Like, you can score 100 goals, but if you're not hustling back and you're not playing defense, you're still a liability to your team, half of the field. So, like, that stuff's really cool. And I think, it's very intelligently written. And obviously, like you said, the character development, seeing Isagi, from episode 1 until now is a completely different animal. And he's really honing that in. And that's always cool to see, too, on top of the other stuff. So, I'm ready to eat. It's going to be sick this season.
It's gonna be so good, and we didn't even talk about like ReZero because you haven't seen ReZero, and that's not an anime I think you can binge. It's a great anime, but like it also deals a lot with like mental like illness and shit, and a lot of mental stuff. And like what's great about it is that like you really see it. Like they do a great job. So like I binged it. It wears on you a little bit because you see them like the same thing repetitive over and over and over again. When you're binging, it's like Jesus Christ, a little much. But like, dude, that first episode, if you guys want to talk about it in the comment section, like I'm down. Like what a first
Oh, yeah.
episode. It was an hour 30 minutes, but the end of it was so good. The end of it was like the true like okay, we're back type shit. Like it was just like it just came full circle, and it was just like yo, ReZero is going to be an amazing anime this season. I'm wondering if it has the caliber to be anime of the year. Because
I would say it's definitely popular enough. Like, I know there's a
Mhm.
very big fan base for it, which kind of to your point earlier, I think that does matter when they consider, what animes to put up for these awards.
Yeah.
I definitely would say it's in that like tier or category of like popularity.
Yeah, because like I have to like go back and like really kind of look at what's come out this year, but like Oshinoko's definitely up there. I think ReZero can definitely get nominated, but it's kind of like okay, like what else like really stood out where it was like god damn, and I feel like a lot of the new ones were, but like it's hard to have a new anime in there. But it's gonna be interesting. I feel like anime of the year is gonna be an absolute fist fight, and same with new anime of the year. Those are two categories that are just gonna be an absolute bloody brawl for this season. I mean, this year because we've just had so many that were just so good. So many that are gonna get like snuffed from nomination, where it's like it should be up there, but like what are you gonna do when you have 10 animes that could win it in any other year? You know what I mean? It's like how you gonna pick? So definitely excited. We're gonna make a bunch of videos when the anime awards come out because that's gonna be really fun to do. But and look at. But yeah, what an absolute year of anime we've had so far. What a week of anime. The greatest week of anime all year. Absolutely phenomenal. And boys, there's more to come. So, is that it? You got anything else you want to say?
I mean, I just feel like there's so much. Like, you know, you have like Bleach, Kenshin. You still have My Hero going on. One Piece, like Egghead is rock. There's just so much. It's like I couldn't. I'm gonna have to give up a couple hours of sleep each week here and there and fit it all together. But yeah, there's no better time for considering how awesome this season has been. Like to have such an awesome week one for fall. It's like damn. Or is this winter?
Fall.
It's fall. Yeah, it's October. It's not December. I forgot there for a sec. But yeah, for like such a good year to build up and have such a strong week for the open of this season, it's like, damn, it really has been an incredible year.
Yeah, like I'm fucked because I want to watch all of these. I think they're all so good. There's so many of them where like there's so many from last season I still gotta catch up on and watch. You know what I mean? Like it's just been tough. And this season's one where it's not letting me kind of ration it a little bit because it's like, dude, it's just so good. You got to keep up with it. You got to watch it. Of course, I'm addicted to League of Legends now too. So like dealing with all these things, and of course, Arcane season 2 is coming out. Listen, like League does a lot outside of its game really fucking well. The music, now their new anime, like season 2, like watch the trailer and you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta watch this anime. Like, I gotta watch this anime.
Yeah.
Like the music that's coming from it, it's. I'm doing a video on it, guys, talking about Arcane. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, keep a lookout for that this week, and you'll see a bunch of clips from it, and it's just like, holy shit, like, holy
Let's
shit,
go.
like it's so good. So I'm really excited. It's just I don't know where we're gonna find the time for this stuff, guys, but we will because you don't have to always sleep. You know what I mean? Other responsibilities can get pushed off, so we'll make do. But hopefully you guys had a fantastic week. Yeah, see you guys next time. That is it. Have a good one and peace.